hate Common Core for more reasons than I can imagine, being the first that testing companies have what superseded FERPA, which is the Privacy Act that limits access to student records. But secondly, Common Core has been a divider even in the Republican Party. It has pitted residents against administrators, administrators against students, one group after another. So I hate Common Core. But even more importantly, what I'm concerned about is Common Core has not delivered for the state of Michigan. The question is, how did we get here? I believe that you need to know the history of anything that relates to education if you're going to be able to change it. And I have to remind people of the Massachusetts Education Reform Act of 1993. Massachusetts, while it is the #1 school district in the states across the country and even in some parts of the world, began the standards-based reform that we're seeing in this country. In fact, its 1993 to 1997 framework, it took it about 4 years to make the framework, was called the Massachusetts Common Core of Learning. Now, I present that because I had said to someone that Common Core was a deviation or evolution from the Massachusetts standards. And they said I was delusional. But I'm not delusional. I took it straight from the framework's archives. And so as you are looking at this video, it is attached to an article that goes through the history of how we got here. First of all, there's something that's called PISA. PISA is the Program for International Students Assessment. And basically what PISA does is it ranks countries by their educational systems. The first discussion about PISA came out in 2000. And at the time, President Bush was concerned about how America was going to rank amongst the 36 members of the OECD, which is an organization that is responsible for economic progress and world trade. And he should have been concerned because when the first PISA exam came out in 2000, America ranked 24 out of 36 nations. That is incredibly insane. How does the superpower, #1 superpower of the world, rank 24 out of 36? That means we're at the bottom. So with President Bush anticipating that we weren't going to do well, commissioned the No Child Left Behind Act of 2001. Well, what we noticed that even during all of the No Child Left Behind regime, Massachusetts always remained at the top of the United States, but even in the top internationally. It landed #2 for its 8th graders in science. It landed #6 across the world for its mathematics. And so, being brilliant, the National Governors Association decided that they were going to adopt the Massachusetts Common Core of Learning standards, hence as shortened to now Common Core. Now, the Massachusetts Common Core of Learning did have some differences from today's Common Core. First of all, instead of using informational text, which Common Core does, it remained with classic text. And that made sense because they basically, Horace Mann and a lot of the universities in Boston were responsible for this classical text, and that was their claim to fame. And that's wonderful. But pretty much everything else remained the same. The Massachusetts Common Core of Learning utilized hands-on application lessons, which Common Core does now. It educated people at a broader spectrum, as Common Core does now. But what it did is it also had what we call an exit exam for high school, a standardized exit exam. So if you didn't pass the exam, you didn't get a diploma. So consequently, education became quite serious to Massachusetts. They had learned that if you want to graduate from high school, you're going to pass this exam. So everything moved toward that faction. Doesn't that kind of sound like what's happening today? Yes, we have maximum testing in Common Core, and we had maximum testing in No Child Left Behind, because remember, we're trying to prepare us for competition. Today, in mathematics, the United States ranks 36 out of 65 countries. We are behind Slovakia Republic. How does the #1 superpower house, instead of going up, went down? Because we're not focused on how we're going to educate all of our residents. And the reason why I do this video, because as I prepare for the State Board of Education, part of our job is to educate the masses on what is the process of education and to focus us singularly so that we can be able to achieve our end goal. And our end goal today is to educate every single student in the state of Michigan so that they are ready for the future and that they can compete globally international. So I hate Common Core, and if I had my way, I could wave my magic wand and I would get rid of it today. But the only way I could do that is with a focused, unified group of parents, because parents have the power to do all type of things, and part of that power is also providing good laws. So I'm asking you, if you hate Common Core, vote for me.